Hey guys, what's up? Man, am I excited to be back. It's been a while. I've slacked a little bit, but hey, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad that we had a great week together. Just real quick shout out to those affected by the hurricane. If you know anybody, our prayers go out to you guys. Just devastation. I mean, I can't imagine going through a storm like that. Kind of a just crazy visual of what life can really be like. You know, it can be calm one minute, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of this massive storm, and it's just crazy. And sometimes the storms are predictable. Sometimes you can see the storm coming, and life gives you plenty of ample warning to pack up, load up, board up, whatever you need to do to sustain the storm. But sometimes the storms can come quickly and you have no preparation and you have no time to prepare to avoid the storm. And today I want to talk about those kind of storms. I want to talk about the storms that seem to come in our lives at moments that we don't expect. At times we're just coasting through and everything's great and everything's good, and then all of a sudden there's a moment that comes and you're just sideswiped by it, and it's hard to try to understand why and all this. And so today I wanted to talk about, there's an old Hebrew saying, and the Jewish community uses the same saying a lot. They always say shalom to each other, which means peace, and that's really cool. I wish more of us would start out saying that to each other. But the full Hebrew version of that, and that's what I want to talk about today, is I'm probably not going to say it right, so just bear with me. It's wa alakim salam, which means unto you peace. Doesn't just mean peace, it means specifically unto you peace. I think in this times that we live in, that phrase gets too often placed on the back pages of our conversation. I think too many times, we see moments in our lives and we see confrontations and we see trials in our lives as opportunities to attack, opportunities to be right in all this. And really, I think in those times that we have those kind of troubles, if we can just start off from a point of peace unto you, I think that just will help steer that storm in a different direction, that storm or that moment, that whatever we're going through. Too many times when anger seems to come from nowhere, we tend to take it as a face value instead of a moment value. When I encounter a moment and somebody's having a bad moment or whatever, I try not to take it personal. It's very hard to do. I get it. I understand that. People are like, but Chuck, man, what? I don't deserve that. Exactly. I understand that. I get that. But, if we could take it as a moment value instead of being a face value, like they're attacking me or that situation is happening directly to me, you just don't know. It could be a young person who's just received devastating news, and is still trying to process that. It could be someone who's walked out of a bad situation, and has not had time to process that yet. Or it could be somebody who's been mistreated, and doesn't know how to process that. And then they encounter us, and it's not us that they're mad at or upset with, but it's just, we just are just in that moment. It's like we're in the eye of that storm. And, if we can just take a moment to take a breath and, first of all, just say, how can I bring peace to this guy or to this girl or to the situation even? How can I do that? God, Jesus, when he was on this earth, he liked to live a peaceful life. He liked to live a life where he could better people and he could help them out. And he he wanted to bring peace into people's chaos, you know, whether it was through sickness or death or doubts or whatever storm was going on in their life. He wanted to say, you know, he wanted to say wa alakim salam to them in every moment of their life. He wanted to just show them peace in that moment, because I'm sure many people came to him in storms not knowing why they were there. You know, some people were saying, oh, it's the sins of your parents. You know, you're reaping the sins of your parents. You know, some people say, oh, it's because of this or because of that. And Jesus knew that that didn't matter. You know, the reasons doesn't matter. It's the outcome that matters. And when we can come from a place of peace in a time of conflict, I think it changes the whole dynamic of the conversation. And I see that I've frozen on Facebook Live, so I hope I'm still going. I'm on the TV still, but I'm like stuck on Facebook. Hey, don't leave me. That's pretty bad when yourself leaves you on Facebook Live. That's okay. He'll come back. So we often have like I said, you know, we often have two choices when these moments happen. You know, we can accept it for face value, or we can realize that not all confrontations start with us, and we can do our best to help show peace unto them through our reactions. And I'm going to have to finish this, hit this, and start it again. But anyway, we're good. So yeah, it just, you know, how many hundreds and thousands of moments, how many moments do we encounter during the day where, you know, we have choices of how that moment's going to end up. You know, we can choose to you know, go negative when negativity happens, or we can choose to be a positive role model. You know, one of the greatest quotes that I like to share, I actually have it on a card laminated that I carry with me. It's a quote from Maya Angelou, and it says, you know, people will forget what you do, people will forget what you say, but people will not forget how you make them feel. And I'm telling you, when it's just that kind of outcome, and people can walk away and say, you know what, I was having a bad moment. You know, instead of having two bad moments, I was met with a good moment. And it's just exciting when you can walk away from that, you know. You know, our lives can be stressful. You know, life is probably at the most stressful level it's ever been at. You know, there's so much violence in the world. You know, it's almost seems like every week we're hearing about a shooting or something, a tragedy or something going on, and you know, and it's tough. And I'm not trying to lessen any of that by saying, oh well, we should just say whatever, peace, whatever. I'm not saying that at all. Those things are horrific. I don't know what it would be like to go through and losing a loved one to a shooting, or losing a loved one to a hurricane, or losing a loved one to for any reason. You know, I just can't imagine that. But I can imagine that if we stay in a state of anger, you know, and don't try to find some kind of a solution in those moments that we go through, there's just gonna never be any resolution. It's just gonna keep going and going and going, and then we start to, you know, just push people away and say, you know, it's easier not to deal with anything than to, you know, risk, you know, having whatever. And so, you know, there's a great, not a great story, but I do remember a story a few years ago. I don't know if you guys have remembered this or not, but there was a gentleman who walked into an Amish schoolhouse, and in a matter of seconds began what was, I'm sure, a tremendously horrible nightmare for the community. I mean, for those families. I mean, just to imagine that you send your children off to school thinking, you know, they're going to come home safely, and in a moment realize that that's not going to happen, that your life is now forever changed. This community had a right to be angry. This community was angry. But that's not the point that I want to talk about. Yes, they were angry. We can be angry about things that happen to us, but they began to pray for everybody involved. And they came together as a community. Yes, they suffered, they cried, they mourned, they buried, they struggled, but they came together as a community in prayer and realized that the only way to get through hardship in life is to find peace, is to find peace within yourself and to find peace in that situation, because it's just tough, and it shocked the world. I remember back then, this was before I was even myself walking with Christ, and it was just amazing that the world was so shocked at their reaction, that these guys were just praying, and they were not allowing this situation to destroy them. Yes, it was a devastating tragedy, but they decided that they were going to keep, praying for peace and keep working. And boy, I'd like to go to that community today and just see what kind of strength and bond is in that community, because I can guarantee you that because they chose to use peace instead of anger, they just found a resolution, because when we have trouble and tragedies in our life, the first thing we want to do is we want to try to find resolution. And most times we try to find resolution in, an eye for an eye, or, just that moment. But if you could just imagine, if somebody gives you an eye and you give them a hand, I mean, what kind of roads does that open up? What kind of dialogue does that open up? Because I can guarantee you, in this day and age, if you treat somebody with kindness who is being who giving you just a hard time or whatever, and you give them kindness, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, it just even for a split second, it's like, whoa, what just happened here? And so, yeah, it's just exciting. I'm excited about that. I fail at it miserably sometimes. I think, whatever, forget them. I'm tired of it. How many times am I going to try to show peace to them and all this? But God says we got to do it daily. We've got to do it. We got to just keep loving on people and taking care of people and just trying to show peace in their moments, because there's a lot of opportunities out there for people to be just loved on and to be cared for and to be taken care of. I just see so many people, on TV and the tragedies, and I see them praying, and I see them holding each other, and I see them, loving each other, and it's just, when anger begets anger, it never ends. It never ends. There's no end to it. Anger does not stop anger. Only love and compassion can do that. And, when we walk around and we hold all these negative moments in our lives, it pushes out everything else. It pushes out happiness and joy and compassion, and it just sets us on a road that's just never ending. You keep walking towards a light that's moving farther and farther away as you get there, because it's just, you just feel like peace in your life is unattainable, and then that leads to just so much more. I mean, it could lead to depression, anger, outbreaks, sometimes suicide, and it's just not worth holding on to all that anger. And we've got to be able to just, whatever situation you've been through and whatever situation that has happened to you, I just implore that you just try to just find peace in that moment. I don't know how that looks for you. For me, when I try to find peace, I try to do good for other people, and I try to, just show love to other people, because then it feels like, I'm replacing a negative moment in my life with a positive. And when we can do that, then we can start to realize that we are really family. On this planet, we're all we're all family. You know, we're created to love each other, and I know that conflict happens, and conflict is never going to go away. Negative moments in our lives, bad moments in our lives are never going to go away. But if we can start to build ourselves into a routine of, okay, when tragedy comes, I'm going to start off on this foot, and I'm going to try to figure out why, and then how to make the situation better, instead of why and then end up with why. We want to start with why and end up in how can we. And it's just, you know, I've tried it in my own life. I've seen other people trying it in their own lives. You know, I have a bunch of buddies that I love to hang out with and talk with. I've seen them do it in their own lives. I've seen it at work. I've seen it just in life in general. And it's just amazing when you can see people who are taking a bad situation and, yes, struggle through it. I'm not saying there's not going to be struggle. I'm not one of these guys that lives in a fairy tale land that thinks that we can go through life and everything just bounces off of us and we're just fine from here on out. But when we can start to stay internally, you know what, no matter what comes to me, I'm still going to find joy. I'm still going to try to find happiness. I'm still going to try to realize that not everything that happens to us is personal. You know, that people have moments too, and then if we can realize that their moments might be a moment of opportunity for us to help make their moment better, you know, and it's just great, because when I see people are having moments, I just think, how can I make this better for them? You know, just like Jesus did. He saw people who were hurting and sick, and he said, how can I make your life better for you? And he did it willingly, and he didn't take offense to the ridicule that he received. You know, he didn't take offense to the religious people telling him, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you got to do this, you got to do that, you've got to do this. And he just walked in a life of love, in a life of showing peace to people and showing peace in their broken pieces. And it was just amazing. And I just wish, you know, that spirit of you know, peace and love would just be our guiding factors, would be our torch, you know, would be that thing that guides us down this broken world, and instead of, you know, looking at everybody wearily and avoiding people because, oh, I don't want to have a conflict, or I don't like that person because of this, or I don't like that person because of that, you know, and instead of saying, you know what, I love you because we're not alike. I mean, I don't want a billion of me running around. Oh, that would be rough. Oh, so, but you know, and thankfully that there's not, because there's so many people in this world that I just love to meet and talk to and hang out with, and I hope you guys that watch this love to hang out and meet people and talk with people and just enjoy life and just get out there and enjoy life. My wife and I are going to the farmers market here tomorrow in Urbana, and I love going to the farmers market. I love going because it's like, and I like going to just any kind of event where people get together. I went to Elnora last night, the opening party for Craner last night, and I just saw it didn't matter what differences we had, didn't matter, you know, whatever, it didn't matter. We were just there to have fun as a community and to enjoy a peaceful, fun, loving time. And it's just like, I wish we could just bottle that up and then just spread it out. When a tragedy is about to happen or somebody's having a bad moment, I wish I could just take it out and sprinkle a little Elnora dust on them, because it's just amazing. I mean, people you don't even know, smiling and laughing and having a good time and saying hi to each other and just being joyful and cheerful, and you know, it's just, I love it. I'm probably weird like that, but I love it. I love it when I can go and just hang out with people, and I always tell my wife, you know, it's like when we go out to eat, I'm like, one of the cool things I like about going out to eat is that we've had the same idea that somebody else had. You know, somebody else in this community said, hey, let's go out to eat at this restaurant. You know, and all of us together, differently, coming together is just amazing. And it's like, you know, we have one common goal: to eat and to fulfill ourselves and to have great company and great conversation with our families or our friends or whoever we've come with there. You know, I just wish the world was like that. I just wish the world, when we woke up every day, that we would all have had this goal to come out and say, you know what, I'm just going to love hanging out with people today. I'm going to love to get to know people. I'm going to love to get to know their stories. You know, it's amazing when you start to hear so many different stories. It's amazing how many stories we have that are alike, you know, that are very similar. And so, you know, and so with that, I'm just going to wrap it up here. But thanks for tuning in, and just remember, you know, go out this week and help somebody with a story, help somebody with a moment. If you see somebody having a bad moment, sit down and just say, hey, you know what? I'm just happy to know you, or I'd like to get to know you, or how are you doing? You know, sometimes just saying how are you doing to people is just one of the best conversation starters ever. Is just say how are you doing? Let's open our eyes to things that are going on, and let's try to show peace to each other instead of being leery and waiting for that shoe to drop. Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there. I know a lot of people out there. I'm sure you guys know a lot of people out there that just need an arm, that just need a moment of peace in their life, and we can do that. We can offer that to them. And so with that, I'm going to close. Thanks again for watching another exciting episode of Hillside. I got it right this time. I've been practicing. So anyway, so until next week, have a great week. Go out and love on somebody, and take care. Have a good day, have a good week, guys. See ya.